It just bothered me. Some people couldn't see them as people.
But I can tell you that we are not targeting anyone else in Gaza but civilians. Hamas is cynically, but rather terrorists, of course. But I can tell you that we are not targeting anyone else in Gaza but civilians.
Look at all this. Look. He cleaned up the fucking bin toilet. But look at all this. What the fuck are we living in, guys? What kind of clown world is this shit? We shouldn't want this for our fellow man. If anything, that's our own government making fun of all these people. They don't want to help them. They just want to clean out a toilet for them to use so they can keep on extorting and laundering money of the taxpayers into their own pockets. So they use these homeless people that are in need of help. They send money to the Ukraine, and then they just come over here and they clean these little bin toilets and say that they're actually helping the Americans. It's bullshit, it's lies, and people should open up their eyes. Gosh, I hope all those people get help, but it looks like the government just wants to give them a clean fucking toilet. Fucking hypocrisy. You know what, man? You know what, guys? I'm sorry I keep on filming all this, but damn it, dude.
Before we look at the awful content of Clown World, we like to fire up a device called the catalytic converter. This piece of ancient Ramesh technology basically means that all of this terrible Clown World media, we can use it and fuel this machine to try and have some spiritual, or at least maybe not progression, but we can at least get some comedy out of it, right? Because at the end of the day, there is quite a lot of sludge. The people in the media, the part of the cult, were putting the 33s there to take the piss out of us, or to signal, or just as part of the ritual to keep
when it might have been 28, they were like, yeah, just throw 33.
Or maybe 5.
Yeah.
You know, how do you know? They said 33 people were hospitalised, and there
were 5,000.
There might have just been 3 heart attacks, and then some other people went to hospital. Oh, let's get a 333 in there just for good measure.
Yeah.
You know how I understand this? It's because I do the same thing, but I use 33 for a different intent.
Of course.
You know, we're using 33 for positive manifestation. So I understand why you would want to chuck an extra 33 in there. It makes it more powerful if you're trying to achieve something.
Which we all know that's what the media does.
So yeah, Anita B. This is another Anita B. whole story. Oh no, this is Horace Art Attack. I don't know. Okay, right. Okay, what's this next Clown World story we've got here? Where are we going? 230 people tuned in. Thank you for sticking with us. 2 hours into the show. The Daily Mail. Scientists are developing plants that can deliver the same Britney Spears arm spear technology used by Michelle Pfeiffer and moderate your RNA, Coviot shots, by being eaten. If you're not looking at the screen and you don't understand my code words, sorry, you need to look at the screen. Researchers are investigating ways to put Britney technology into Michelle Pfeiffer and moderate mRNA. Okay, this is not good news. They're putting it into plants. So basically, plants are now going to the Britney Spears concert to be upgraded for the 4th Industrial Revolution. And I guess by eating the plants. So, sorry, bad news, vegans. You keep having to go at carnivores for ingesting the whatever, the hormones. We've all heard the arguments.
Yeah.
Meat's got hormones in it. It's got growth hormones. You've seen what they've injected in the meat. Bad news, guys. It's in the vegetables too.
No, they're talking about injecting in the mRNA in the meat as well, in cows.
I think, Billy, I wouldn't be surprised if that's past tense now.
Yeah.
My understanding is, like, by the time they're telling you that they're thinking about doing it, you've probably been ingesting it for a while. We found this out when we looked into the nanotechnology in food and in food packaging. And most people have got no idea. It's been there since the late 90s.
Schwab dust.
You know, there was a big stuff about a big old hoo-ha about GMO in food. We all remember it, right? We don't want GMO. So it's going on for years. GMO. No. In the courts, GMO. Genetically modified. No. Where did you ever hear that about nano? Never heard it. Never once heard it.
Maybe the GMO was a distraction.
Absolutely, it was. Absolutely. Me and Omar Beats.
It's flying in some nano.
We spent a good couple of evenings rabbit holing this hard a number of years ago, and we were going on about it to all of our mates. We were telling them it doesn't. They said, "Oh no, I only eat stuff from certain places. I don't go to the big supermarkets." We were like, "It doesn't matter. Any type of food that's been even the lowest form of processed, the grain or the oil could have nano. What was it called?
Smart dust.
Oh, it's sort of like basically smart dust.
Yeah.
Whether it was something to do with the preservation of the food on the surface of the containers, whether it was something to do with flavor enhancement, whether it's something to do, you know, making the food last longer. It was basically in everything since at least the turn of the millennium. So that's the thing, you know, that the smart dust, the Schwab tech, unless you have literally been an inspector veg growing your own vegetables, like purifying your own rainwater in soil that you've probably combed and got the crap out of it. Yeah, you know, I'm serious, because this stuff is everywhere.
But it's in the air as well, man.
Literally in the rain. It's literally in everything.
Like,
so
you said before, really, like it doesn't matter where you live. You've breathed. You've fucking. If you're breathing, you're ingesting the Schwab dust.
If you physically live anywhere in Clown World, it's already inside you. Jason Christoph made the meme on the right. Let's have a look. The TV told me if I eat bugs and enslave myself on behalf of the ruling 1%, the weather will get gooder. That's basically where we're at. You can't really argue with that logic with what's presented to us.
Just before we move on with Clown World, we've got some real nice messages.
Okay, let's have a read of the
So
messages.
Laura,
Let's read it out.
go on, you read it out. Yes, yourself.
Right, big up Laura. She's been watching us for a very long time. I believe she is from West Country Way, so she's probably been following me since the Circo stuff. Big up Laura. She says, I might have had a drink, but I absolutely love you guys. Total bloody legends, as they say down in Kerno. Yep. It's been a lovely time here. It's been a lonely time here, so I'm feeling way better for Rise Above Live. Thanks, Laura. That means a lot.
It's cool, right?
No, it's really cool. It
Yeah.
is really cool. And we do get a lot of messages like that. You know, I would have gone mental if it wasn't for you guys. And I'm not going to lie. Over the last couple of years, a lot of the messages and emails have been a lot darker than I would have gone mental. And I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. You know, maybe some people said they wouldn't have been here if they didn't have some sort of escape on a Friday night or a new community, a new group of friends.
Some people came very close to not being here, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're all sort of we feel very blessed and very fortunate to be able to, you know, give up a little bit of time during the week to provide this space for people that are literally immersed right up to their eyeballs in Clown World, but their head is Rise Above.
We're a nice break from Clown World, aren't we? You can escape Clown World momentarily for a few hours a week.
Yeah, but let's address this right now, because what we're doing, though, we're looking at Clown World and stuff, but the reason we're doing it is because I talk about this recatalyzation. I think it's a very important process. You can't necessarily ignore this stuff. You can't just ignore it and let it go away. So maybe
they'll do it anyway.
Yeah, they'll do it anyway, and you'll still be bombarded with it, whether you like it or not. So maybe that's why I'm getting this feedback. That we need to keep looking at this stuff, picking it apart, saying how ridiculous it is, because I think for some people it's very important for them to know that, oh fuck yeah, that's what I thought about it too. It's not just me.
Yeah, for me.
When everyone else around them is going, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What? Cut your balls, test your kids'
Masters already, body mutilation, the rest of it.
I should do this. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, for that one person.
Suicide injections.
Yeah, we don't. You know, we meet every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than once a week. You know, and
I remember back in 2020 when we started doing the show. It was right in the middle of the COVID unions onslaught,
and everything
in the lockdowns and stuff. And like, it was at the point when Lord Potato Head was putting out the warning like for 10 p.m. curfews and shit like that. That was being talked about.
Yeah.
We're talking about transportation. I'm here with my wife's boyfriend. It's just ridiculous that you guys are going to persecute him because he's a black man. That's why you guys are doing this. This is why you're bringing so much attention to him. When we walk in here, it was absolutely unreal, the amount of security that he went through compared to the amount of security that I went through. And this is my wife's boyfriend. I mean, the things that he does to my wife is incredible. And we're talking about transportation. Let's talk about Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary. And he's the best secretary I've ever had because he's a homosexual. And as a matter of fact, that's why I started to become bisexual, to be more like Pete Buttigieg. And that's why I started to have a relationship with men on the side. And that's why I have Grindr. So listen, we need to get federal funding. Selvina, is that how I say your name? Selvina Brooks Powers. We got to get some federal funding from Pete Buttigieg because listen, Joe Biden's over there. I know his son's smoking crack in the Ukraine, but that doesn't matter. I mean, Pete Buttigieg, I know he's like on a gay cruise with his husband and they're, like breastfeeding their babies and stuff, but they can help the transportation issues we're having here in New York. I mean, that's the federal boss, dog. I'm Primetime 99. I'm a pimp on a blimp. So I wrote this song. New York City is so dang bad. This apple is rotten. What have we gotten? Nothing but violence. All I hear is silence from our leaders. My man's titties are out and they are bleeders because they get cut with a knife. He sleeps with my wife. This city is damn too expensive to get an apartment. We need to lower the rent, but instead we're going to charge these poor drivers more money. But all I want to do is get vaccinated. Stick that vaccine in my arm. I want to vaccinate with this love charm. I love you guys. I'm Primetime 99, Sylvina, and my wife's boyfriend has a lot of issues, and I just hate these trucks when they're trying to take a nap and I'm playing Xbox and they're trying to make love. These trucks are making too much noise and they're just polluting too much gas and they're just making it difficult for my wife and her boyfriend Ontario to really enjoy
Thank
themselves.
you, time.
Yeah, but everybody else got to speak past the time limit, so I just have a couple more minutes. So what I'm saying is, in this city, we have serious issues, and my songs aren't going to solve it. And we have Eric Adams in the nightclub, doing God knows what.
Sir, if you're not going to stay on topic, your time is finished.
I can't talk about Eric Adams. Is he not on topic?
We're talking about truck routes.
That's what I'm saying. So is Eric Adams not in charge of the city? Is he not in charge of the truck routes?
Are you finished with your
remarks? No, I'm not
remarks
finished.
on
I'm not
trucking?
finished. I just understand why everybody else gets to come here and pontificate for 5-10 minutes, and I try to talk about something, and you try to shut me down. Why is it? Is it because I'm a homosexual? Is it because I'm bisexual?
Thank you, sir.
Is that why? I think they don't like that I'm bisexual. All right.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm IG Bum. Please help the homeless. It's a serious situation out there. I have to deal with the trucks and all that as I'm trying to sleep on a box on 42nd, and I think it should be addressed. Homeless people are people too, and I'm a veteran of this country, titties and all.
Those are veteran titties. All right, guys, and if you guys can give the death penalty to Donald Trump, that would be great too, because we know Alvin Bragg is a really great guy. But listen, it's not about Alvin Bragg. It's not about the city that's crumbling. It's not about the fact that people are overdosing on fentanyl constantly. You guys want this city to fail, but I don't, because I love this city. Like Frank Sinatra said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I'm Primetime 99, Alex Stein.
Thank you, sir.
Sure
That's all.
to
Thank
follow
you.
me. Thank you, guys. I'm a pimp on a blimp. God bless. Look, security's coming. Security's coming.
Today we have come to one of the coolest freshwater research facilities in the world, the Experimental Lakes area, and we're here to see an entire lake get filled with microplastics. Normally this isn't something to be very excited about, but what's being learned here can help us gain a new understanding of how plastic affects lake ecosystems and how we can better protect lakes from one of the biggest sources of water pollution on Earth.
The Experimental Lakes area is a series of 58 lakes here in the Boreal Shield that has been set aside for doing research of these up and coming contaminants. The Plastics Project is a group of researchers that are all coming together to look at the effects of microplastics in the aquatic environment, in this case, the freshwater aquatic environment.
Most of this research that has been done on microplastics has been done in laboratories. There hasn't really been much field-based research done on microplastics. So what we're hoping to achieve here is to see how microplastics will actually behave and interact with organisms in a whole lake ecosystem, as opposed to just beakers in a laboratory. So we're adding microplastics to the lake every 2 weeks just to simulate stormwater outflow into lakes, which is occurring everywhere. This is going to be happening over the next 3 years. So the amount of plastic that we're adding is about, you can imagine, 1 cup of microplastics to an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and that's how much we're adding every 2 weeks.
So the plastic that's floating at the top is yellow, and that's polyethylene. It's very commonly used in a lot of our products, like plastic bags and bottles. The polystyrene, which is our pink plastic, is going to be in the water column because it's neutrally buoyant, and that is modeled after a disposable drinking cup. So you think of your typical red cup that you might be drinking from. Blue plastic is polyethylene terephthalate, and that is based off of a water bottle that you might find.
I think just knowing how microplastics impact to ecosystem level will be more helpful for us to inform policy and decision making to help us reduce microplastics in the environment. It'll be interesting to see if this has an effect on community diversity, abundances, and biomass of different species.
So I really hope that what we learn here can go on to teach the future generation, students that are coming up as well, about not just plastics in particular, but also working on contaminants in the environment and the effects on the whole ecosystem. Those are the future generations that are going to be determining whether they use plastic or whether they buy plastic or whether they go into an industry where they can develop different types of plastic.
Did you know that collagen makes up roughly 30% of proteins in your body, making it the most abundant protein in the body? Yet, as we age, if we're not consuming enough collagen...
You, that is a good brand, though, but... Yeah.
Taking aim tonight at growing crime trends in the district. Today, Mayor Muriel Bowser announcing new legislation targeting organized retail theft. It's a growing issue that businesses are facing nationwide, including here in the DMV.
In fact, the National Retail Federation says that last year, retailers reported more than $112 billion in losses due to theft nationwide.
They stole the whole store. There's nothing in the store.
Inside this CVS in Columbia Heights, you'll find empty shelves, bare freezers, and fridges, a result of repeated theft.
Yeah, I ain't never seen that in my life.
The store isn't alone. Giant in Southeast DC is pulling name brand products from shelves due to theft. And earlier this year, a flash mob setting off a fire extinguisher and robbing the Chanel store at City Center.
Today, I'm announcing new legislation.
So Mayor Muriel Bowser is responding. On Monday, she announced the Act Now proposal of 2023, which in part creates criminal penalties for organized retail theft and establishes a new crime for directing organized retail theft.
People want great businesses in their neighborhoods, and they don't want to have to worry about those businesses being robbed repeatedly.
The National Retail Federation tells DC News Now it applauds this type of legislation, but some shoppers are skeptical more penalties will make a difference.
Anybody scared of that? As you see, we already know it's a penalty for stealing. People don't care they stole the whole store. They still going to the store doing what they want to do.
Tawana Edmondson believes more programs for kids and employment opportunities for adults are needed first.
They talking a lot of nonsense to me because I don't see any hands-on names.
Today's legislation also makes it illegal to wear a face mask while committing a crime. We're talking about a full ski mask, not one of those medical masks, and it also addresses loitering around open-air drum parties.
Hi, Steve here. The news today could have been a skit on Saturday Night Live 3 decades ago, but now it's a reality, a weird and sad reality. A CVS store in Washington, D.C. uses framed images of toilet paper instead of the real product on their shelves in an effort to stop people from stealing it. You must request some from an employee to get it.
I'm sorry. There's no toilet paper over here. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I just forgot to check, so if you could spare some. No, I'm sorry. What? No, I'm sorry, I can't spare it. You can't spare it? No, there's not enough to spare. Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it. I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind.
Crime is so bad in this Democrat-run capital that this store and many others are now forcing customers to ask their staff if they can retrieve a roll of toilet paper out of the lockup for them. In this CVS, you have to press a button to summon a sales associate and then point to the picture of the toilet paper brand you wish to purchase. Then wait while they go get it for you. Hope you didn't need some in a hurry because you may be waiting a while. Podcaster Joey Manarino posted photos of the store and said, I was in Barcelona, Spain a few months ago, and I saw Mac laptops sitting out in the middle of the store. This is how we have to live in America now? This is third world. Because theft and lawlessness is so rampant in DC and other big Democrat-run cities, even things like toilet paper and toothpaste and even juice has to be locked up. Joey Manarino says in New York City, they have to lock up mouthwash behind a plexiglass door. The Daily Mail reported on the pharmacy's dystopian move after weeks of a CVS store in DC was ransacked by up to 50 teenage looters who routinely attacked the store and pillaged its shelves. A CVS store on 14th Street in Columbia Heights, DC, is so subject to constant theft that there's literally nothing on the shelves anymore. The company has decided to close 900 stores and gradually move online just to prevent losses from organized theft. The removal of items from shelves in crime-ridden big cities has seen shoppers having to wait up to 40 minutes for staff to bring them basic products from lockups. The Target store in Queens is locking up razor blades and toothpaste. Customers are supposed to use a sensor device to get a clerk over to help them and unlock the door. Same in Minneapolis Target stores. You can't brush your teeth unless you get a clerk to open the door for you. Detergent, baby formula, healthcare items, all locked up in a Los Angeles Target. This guy posted on X what all that stealing says about America. We're used to seeing expensive jewelry secured behind glass or a few items behind convenience store counters. But lately, the amount of seemingly ordinary items, soap, ice cream, detergent, locked up in stores. They can't stop the theft. And they can't stop a mob of people when they go in and just empty the shelves. And the truth is, they're not trying to stop them because they're told not to stop them. This is going to go on until there may not be any stores for you to go to shop at anymore. Maybe they just want us to buy everything online. I know Amazon does.
Much late.
Oh, thank you. Think about it.
So, all right, let me interrupt.
There's never been a better time for epic.
Yeah, all right, that's great. That's good stuff. Get your Firestone tires today. Let's see what Provo's up to. I just got this urge to see what Provo's up to. And I'll show my reasoning for that in a minute. Not sure how my sound's coming in here, but let's see what Provo's up to. Oh, wow. Provo subs just shot up a bunch, probably because he has Grace Thorpe on the panel. I'm guessing she jumped up on the panel. Just before I switched over, she was about to hop on panel. So that would probably
He said he's not going to
Yeah.
quote unquote invest in a friendship
Right.
with me anymore because I'm not quote unquote all there. What kind of a thing is that to say to a friend?
Darius is retarded, and I mean that. And yeah, when you look at who he interacts with and like how he, like when I saw him cry to your mom, I knew immediately this guy was done for.
Yeah.
Nobody,
but you know, he's a
nobody
soft-
should cry
he's
to
a soft
Courtney
soul.
Thorpe. Nobody should cry to Courtney Thorpe. The conversation's over. I never cried.
And
to
even
Courtney.
she didn't feel sympathy for him.
No, the dude's done, right? Like he's a Destiny simp. Doesn't know. Here's the thing. You're talking to a real man, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand that, but Destiny might. He'll never watch this, but Darius is a loser, right? No offspring. How old is he?
28.
28. Hasn't made anything. Does he have a savings?
I don't know.
Has he made an income? Does he have something for his progeny?
I mean, he gambles it all away. So.
Okay, I'm just saying, my kids have a trust fund.
Exactly.
All right, my kids have a trust fund. I have a account for each of my 3 kids. I have three children, and they all have an account, right, with different stock funds attached to their names. Who is Darius? Right, like my kids have money to their name. Darius has nothing.
Well, I mean, he has some money. I mean, he's got some good qualities. But I mean, the tattoos, yeah, it's a warning sign.
He has nothing, right? Like you're talking to somebody who will lose their money within 2 to 3 years. If he had children, it'd be gone in a matter of seconds, right? Child support, blah, blah, blah. This guy's broke. You're talking to a broke person. Darius is talking, and he might have money in his bank account now, but I promise you right now, Grace, he's broke.
Oh, hi, Toxic Angel. He's broke. He's broke spiritually. He's broke spiritually. That's the problem.
No, even materially. This guy actually has no money.
I mean, I think he has money. I do think he has some money.
So I love these stories because I've honestly, I hate to do this.
All right, I think I just fell asleep there for a minute. I had a micro power nap. But the reason I'm showing this, here we go. Here's my reason. Let's go over here to toilet bowl face. Here's a good moment in time here. As long as this stream is still up, if you didn't take it down.
No. This is very famous.
I feel like I'm in a room full of feds. I'm about to call every one of you guys.
Yeah, welcome to the Fed room.
I'd be honored to be called the Fed. I'd be honored that somebody cared enough about me.
Hey, look, bro. Hey, Provo, it's one big club, and you ain't in it.
I know, dude. I should be the first people to call a Fed. I'm the first person people should call a Fed. I'm Mormon.
Reasonable.
It's fucking Rusty that's been echoing this whole time, you son of a bitch.
No.
I will say this. I have contacted the FBI within the past 3 months.
Hello?
Provo, you were just in the middle of saying something.
I was just saying I have been in contact with the FBI in the past 4 to 5 months, but that's for other reasons.
Other informant activities.
Who are you right now,
related tangentially, not kind of.
I'm not going to say. All I'm going to say, is that I take here's what I'm going to say. It's weird, like, because everything's legal, right? And I love doctors and lawyers, but
why do you turn your camera on? Let me see.
Because I'm streaming on my stream, so I can't use the cameras on it.
We explain this. Provo's Provo's multitasking.
He's pooping.
He's probably the one making it echo.
He's pooping.
I'm on my live stream. I do take dumps, but I will say this: I have no problem contacting the FBI
I have contacted the FBI within the past few months.
I've done it before too, bro.
Is that a threat? Are you threatening us?
Yeah,
No,
what's
I'm
going
just
on?
saying, I'm just saying, for everybody knows, I'm not somebody who's not unwilling to contact
Are
the
you threatening
FBI.
Jim Bob and
In
Andrew?
fact, I do have an FBI. I'm like,
What are you gonna do? What could you possibly do?
Bro,
not to you
are
guys.
you high right now? Are you threatening us?
No,
I don't understand.
Provo's giving a spiel. Let Provo spiel.
All I'm saying
He
is,
just did.
all I'm saying is, I'm somebody who does talk to the government.
Yeah, I know how the feds do. What's your point? I don't understand where this is going.
I'm an informant.
Great.
Not like the ones you think though. I'm a different kind of fan.
The fuck does that mean?
I don't know. I just have to be honest.
You've been smoking weed tonight.
I actually haven't used weed in about 4 days, and I felt great. Is it weird to come out as a Fed?
I do it all the time.
Okay, cool. I'm a Fed.
Yeah.
I can't believe I called JG out for his haircut while I'm over here talking to Fed.
You exposed him, man.
Man, there's a lot of echo. Well, why?
Must be me, dude. It's the Fed.
Maybe it's fucking me, and I don't even know it.
That's been going on kind of the whole night.
Off and on though. Right now it's bad.
It's interesting. When I started doing Fed talk, Bernite leaves. Oh, we got the haircut gate here. But actually, I believe JG. I'm just somebody who hasn't gotten a haircut in a while.
Yeah, why are you saying you're a Fed?
Just because I do have contact with the FBI, and that is a real thing.
Why?
Why do I have contact? Because for several reasons, for personal safety.
Wow. Dope story.
Hey, let's do it next to it. I don't want to blow my Fed cover too hard.
Why do you need personal safety?
Well, you don't watch my podcast or listen to me, but if you did, you'd understand. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, I was on there last week, man. Big
Yeah,
fan.
but I have over 200 hours of podcasting, and you don't know anything about me.
Provo, why am I getting like a animosity vibe from you tonight?
Yeah, so Provo's a Fed. It's all clear now, and now we know it's out in the open. And yeah, thank you, all you looping slaves, for exposing yourselves. Indeed, indeed. Well said. Well said.
The reasons why they are blocking off the cave systems and making us learn indoors instead of going out into nature, to learning ways that we can utilize the powers of our mind and our body and, understand what energy is. Why? According to Dame Dash, the whole school system, the reason why we're indoors with lighting that is under 5,000 Kelvin, it's to control you.
Would you put a kid in a room behind a desk when the sun is out for their whole entire childhood?
Sick.
Not put them in front of water or ocean or anything that inspires them. Dim lights. If you notice, schools, jails, and hospitals all look exactly the same. Why wouldn't it be in something inspiring? Why? Because it's a program to keep us controlled. When you have to have order of masses, you have to have them all doing the same thing so you can know what they're doing, you can monetize what they're doing, you know how they're doing it. They never teach us how to pass laws and lobby or be politicians, and that's the only way to make change. So it has to be strategic. So when a cycle continues over and over again without change, it's either insanity or it's intentional.
Do they have 5,000 Kelvin light bulbs in your child's public school? I would like to know. You should look into it. It most similarly replicates natural sunlight, and it can help autism and stuff, so they say. I wonder if they are able to get that, changed out. Can you get it paid for? Maybe it just starts with our education of it first. I don't know. But your knowledge is power.
So apparently some
law enforcement agents from Texas have gone along and strung this razor wire along the border at this place where people migrate from the south into Texas, where they cross the river. And then the federal border patrol agents were going along and cutting the razor wire, and a judge ruled you can't do that anymore. So now they're going and lifting that razor wire with a forklift and coordinating with the people who want to come norte when and where they're going to lift the wire, and everyone knows where to gather and when to cross. And so they're still in compliance with the judge's order because they're not cutting the razor wire, they're just lifting it. And I remember back in the Obama administration when the National Guard had their Apache attack helicopters removed and replaced with Chinook helicopters, a slow, cumbersome, toothless machine. And people said, that's just conspiracy theory, thinking that the federal agencies want to disarm and defang the state and local government as if there might be a standoff between them and they don't want the state having access to these Apache attack helicopters. That's just total conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat shit. But it would look like we're at the point where there could be a standoff and a flashpoint that results in federal agencies having a showdown with state agencies. And they take action and say, well, we can't wait for it to work its way through the court system and decide what we can and can't do. We're going to do what we're going to do, and then let what we did work its way through the court system to find out whether or not what we did was legal. So this is nearing a flashpoint that results in civil conflict. And to all of this, I have one thing to say. A mi amigos mexicanos, por favor, recuerda el tiempo de la reconquista. Yo soy chingón gringo. Porque te necesitas 2 o 3 buen gringos. No sé por qué, pero posible por alguna cosa. No por cosas sexual, cállate, cabrón. Pendejo, no mames. No, pero serioso. Recuerda, yo soy chingón gringo al tiempo de la reconquista. Soy café adentro en mi corazón, solo blanco afuera. Sí, es verdad. Y perdón y lo siento por el colonialismo. Y esto es en el pasado. Tenemos un futuro en el mundo nuevo, juntos, unidos, en solidaridad. Sí, estamos muy amigos. And for those of you who don't know what I just said, I suggest you learn some Spanish. It's probably a good idea.
I'm Efrain Gonzalez, correspondent with Butterhack News. These are exclusive images of how mass crossings of hundreds of migrants are being carried out in recent days at Eagle Pass, raising the barbed wire with machinery. This huge caravan of around 300 migrants crossed into Eagle Pass thanks to Border Patrol agents lifting the barbed wire. The hundreds of migrants crossed in a few minutes, this being the 4th massive crossing that our cameras witnessed in the last days of October. Previously, these caravans are sent to uninhabited areas of the Rio Grande, where Border Patrol awaits them with forklift tractors. Given these facilities, migrants say they prefer to cross the river instead of processing legal entry.
¿El plan cuál es ahora? ¿Cruzar por el río Bravo con sus niños o CBP igual?
Cruzar por el río Bravo y primeramente en el nombre de Dios. Se tarda mucho y nosotros no tenemos recursos para quedarnos.
Somehow, these large groups of migrants are informed about the place and time when the forklifts raise the barbed wire to cross in drops.
Ron White, live.
My New Year's resolution this year was to lose some weight and try to get in better shape. And I was working out yesterday, and I hurt my fat.
All right, wait. I thought he got sober. Now he's holding the drinks. I thought that was his whole new thing. Is he's like sober now? He's live on 420 at the Hard Rock? I'm confused.
I sprained my fat roll.
Saturday, April 20th, Hard Rock Live. On sale now at myhrl.com or ticketmaster.com.
I'm just gonna go on a limb. He's actually still sober, but he's getting paid just to hold that beer. That's my theory.
Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood. For mature.
fundamental principle that all people should have the freedom to live, to worship, and to be without fear of violence or persecution. Every person has the right to live safe from violence, hate, and bigotry. And for those reasons and so many more, President Joe Biden and I have a duty, not only to keep the people of our nation safe, but to condemn unequivocally and forcefully all forms of hate. Since we took office, President Biden and I have fought to uphold that duty. Over the past decade, America has seen a rise in attacks on houses of worship. So in response, we expanded funding to protect houses of worship from violence. After a surge in hate during the pandemic, in particular anti-Asian hate, President Biden signed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act to improve the reporting of hate crimes and to ensure hate crimes are investigated quickly and thoroughly. Earlier this year, in response to an historic rise in anti-Semitic attacks, we also released the first national strategy to counter anti-Semitism. And to make clear, taking on hate is a national priority. President Biden and I held the first White House summit to address hate-fueled violence, and we brought together religious leaders, community leaders, and survivors to continue our work to keep all Americans safe. And today, we take another important step forward in our fight against hate. For years, Muslims in America and those perceived to be Muslim have endured a disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks. As a result of the Hamas terrorist attack in Israel and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, we have seen an uptick in anti-Palestinian, anti-Arab, anti-Semitic, and Islamophobic incidents across America, including the brutal attack of a Palestinian-American woman who was Muslim and the killing of her 6-year-old son, a senseless act of violence that the Department of Justice is investigating as a hate crime. For so many people in our nation, the past few days and weeks have brought about all too familiar fears. Fears that they will be targeted, profiled, or attacked simply because of who they are, how they worship, or how they look. And so today, I am proud to announce the Biden-Harris administration will develop our nation's first national strategy to counter Islamophobia. This strategy will be a comprehensive and detailed plan to protect Muslims and those perceived to be Muslim from hate, bigotry, and violence, and to address the concern that some government policies may discriminate against Muslims. For example, the so-called Muslim ban, which President Biden revoked on our first day in office. So here's the bottom line. In America, no one should be made to fight hate alone. And in this moment, then, let us all clearly say, a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us.
Our viewers will be wondering the pictures that they were watching at the moment, and these are pictures that we're just bringing in from northern Israel following strikes coming from the Lebanese side of the border. This appears to be the immediate aftermath of an attack, some kind of strike coming from the Lebanese side of the border. And this speaks again to what our correspondent, Ali Hashem, who was just reporting from Lebanon, was saying. This is what we're seeing on day 27 of the conflict. Even as we continue to keep a very close watch on what's happening in that border area between Lebanon and Israel, there have been exchanges, there have been attacks on both sides, exchanges of artillery. And this is the, I'm just getting new information. Bear with me for a second. I'm told that Al-Qassam Brigade is claiming responsibility. That's Al-Qassam Brigade, which is the armed wing of Hamas, but this one based in Lebanon is claiming responsibility for this particular attack after, it says, having launched 12 missiles from Lebanon. So that's what you're looking at. We will examine the aftermath. We'll keep a close eye on this. We'll go back to Ali at some point in Lebanon, talk about the aftermath of all of this. I want to just put this on a brief pause, even as we continue to watch it, to bring back in our guest, Eric. Eric, thanks for your patience. I mean, you will understand, as our viewers will, that we're always watching multiple fronts in this conflict. You were telling
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. November 2nd, 2023, for the second time. I put out a video earlier today on Mario Brothers video game, but I want to talk about something I discovered real quick. This is going to be really fast. I came across 4 videos today that were uploaded by Fiona Broom. Now, I've had so many people over the past couple of years say, where's Fiona Broom? How come we never hear from Fiona Broom? You know, they're just constantly saying, you know, how come she doesn't ever talk about the Mandela effect? Well, she put out 4 videos today talking about how the Mandela effect was discovered. So if you're interested in hearing that, I'm going to put a link down below. That's about it. I just wanted to bring this information to people who may want to hear what she has to say. So that's it. I'll talk to everybody soon. Go create the reality that you want.
I'm Efrain Gonzalez, correspondent with Hack News. These are exclusive images of how mass crossings of hundreds of migrants are being carried out in recent days at Eagle Pass, raising the barbed wire with machinery.
This huge caravan of around 300 migrants crossed into Eagle Pass thanks to Border Patrol agents lifting the barbed wire. The hundreds of migrants crossed in a few minutes, this being the 4th massive crossing that our cameras witnessed in the last days of October. Previously, these caravans are sent to uninhabited areas of the Rio Grande, where Border Patrol awaits them with forklift tractors. Given these facilities, migrants say they prefer to cross the river instead of processing legal entry.
¿El plan cuál es ahora? ¿Cruzar por el río Bravo con sus niños o CBP igual?
Cruzar por el río Bravo y no, primeramente en el nombre de Dios. Se tarda mucho y nosotros no tenemos recursos para quedarnos.
Somehow, these large groups of migrants are informed about the place and time when the forklifts raise the barbed wire to cross in drops.
Ever since he died on the night of the full moon, October 2023, Matthew Perry, star of Friends, has become quite the topic to discuss. Several of his final social media posts have been analyzed, and they seem to reference Batman. So here's my take on this. So Perry was most known for his role on Friends. His wife on the show was played by Courtney Cox. Now, a while after the show Friends ended, Courtney Cox landed a role on the show Scrubs. It was a 3-episode arc. Cox played the role of Dr. Taylor Maddox, the new chief of medicine. So apparently, in her 3-episode arc, she was not a good person to work for. A lot of people didn't like her, including, and mostly, this guy, Dr. Cox. I kid you not, his name is Dr. Perry Cox. So again, with the Perry-Cox combo, remember in Friends, it was Courtney Cox and Matthew Perry, the married couple. And then she goes on to play in the show, and she takes the role of chief of medicine. Dr. Cox would eventually become chief of medicine. He got her fired. He didn't want that position, but he did everything in his power to get her fired. So here's where the Batman connection comes in. I know it's kind of silly to some, but the theme song for Scrubs is I'm No Superman by Laszlo Bane. Now, you don't have to be into superheroes or comic books or whatever to know that Superman and Batman go together quite well. Remember, Matthew Perry was all about the Batman, apparently, towards the end. A dangerous adversary of Batman is called Bane. Scrubs theme, I'm No Superman, was by the band Laszlo Bane. Now, Christopher Nolan did an excellent job with Bane in his trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. There was a cheesy version of Bane in the late 90s in the movie. But what really kicked it off was in 93, there was this epic storyline. Any comic book collector or whatever knows about the Nightfall storyline, Batman Nightfall. So the Batman Nightfall storyline spanned over a few different titles, notably Batman and Detective Comics, a couple more thrown in there. But what was consistent with the Nightfall series was that in the corner of the book, the upper right corner of the book, there was the bat symbol. The number 1 in that series looked normal. It was the black bat, the number 1 inside, the black bat, and surrounding it was a yellow circle. And that was the first one, but as the numbers progress upward, each individual comic book was referencing a lunar eclipse. The color changed, the shape stayed the same up until number 19. In hindsight, I'm pretty sure it has to do with what's called the Metonic cycle. I'm not going to explain that too much, but it's a 19-year cycle. Again, you look at the covers of these Batman Nightfall series comic covers, and up top right, you can see the bat symbol slowly being eclipsed. It looks like a lunar eclipse, really. And the symbol is the same, except at the end, it's 19, and the symbol completely changes. And that seems to mark when a new Batman took over. Bruce Wayne put out of commission the antagonist of this story is Bane. And Bane broke Batman's back. It was epic back in the 90s. And the symbol changed because this new Batman took over, and he was chaotic. And that new Batman, well, I'm not going to get into that. There was something significant about the name he went by. But again, the antagonist of that Batman Nightfall storyline back in 93 was Bane. And remember, the band or the music group, Laszlo Bane, wrote the song I'm No Superman for the show Scrubs. You get the Perry Cox combo. Dr. Perry Cox gets Courtney Cox's character fired and takes her job before she was in the show Friends with Matthew Perry. Come to think about it, the name Perry is significant in the Superman story, Perry White, but I digress. The song I'm No Superman, Laszlo Bane. Bane's connected with Batman, supervillain, put Bruce Wayne out of commission and all this. Matty Perry was all about the Bat towards the end, right? And remember, Donald Trump at one point said, I am Batman. He said it on the helicopter. A lot of us talked about that. And some of you know about this, that his election speech, or his inauguration speech, rather, there's definitely a line or two in there that seems to mirror the speech that Bane gave when he freed the prisoners from Gotham Asylum or wherever it was, Arkham Asylum. I forget, but he freed the prisoners, and he said, we take Gotham back from the corrupt, the rich, and we give it back to you, the people. And then Trump, in his inauguration speech, said, we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people. He said Washington, D.C., of course, that's the nation's capital, District of Columbia, D.C., the United States capital. But D.C. can also stand for Detective Comics, the Batman brand. Superman, Batman, Aquaman. So I'm going to leave a link in the description box. There's a pretty cool interview with DC contributor Grant Morrison. He writes for Batman and Superman and whatnot. And in this short little clip, he says how he treats the characters. They're like archetypes and some of the gods, like Superman is Zeus, Batman is Hades, Aquaman is Neptune. So Batman as Hades is perfect. And Hades is Pluto, as many of you know. And I think these two great American total solar eclipses are like bookends for America's Pluto return. The actual return date is debatable, I guess. People talked about it back on February 22nd, and I've seen some other estimates. But Pluto is a planet that moves very slow, and the gist is that Pluto was in a certain place in space when America, the United States, was born, essentially. And that planet Pluto, quote-unquote dwarf planet Pluto, is making its return right about now, which supposedly has an effect on things down below. As above, so below. Pluto was god of the underworld and was ruler of money. So I think, we're going to see some changes, some trying times with money and death. Pluto was discovered supposedly on February 18th. I talked about how 218 connects with death. The word death has a gematria of value of 218. There was that first Great American Total Solar Eclipse a few years back on the 21st of August, 218. Word has it the character Chandler, the fictional character Chandler, has that April 8th birthday. So April 8th, 2024 is that second Great American Total Solar Eclipse that's going to finish the X. X marks the spot on the United States. I think those eclipses are bookends, and they kind of mark Pluto's return for America. So going back to Matthew Perry, he was seemingly obsessed with Batman, and Batman's connected with Hades, ruler of the underworld. There's also a bit about money, and Batman's a billionaire. Bruce Wayne's a billionaire. Of course, you'd imagine that star of the hit show Friends probably had a lot of money as well. And besides being Zeus, as Grant Morrison says, Superman's Zeus, Batman's Hades, Superman also represents the sun. He's a solar-powered deity, if you will. And Batman does his work by moonlight. So you have these two sort of duality figures, two sides of the same coin. DC Comics, think DC, District of Columbia. You got the Democrats and Republicans, this duality. Back in the day, war North and South. You got the red and the blue states. Light and dark, the sun and the moon. The moon is said to control water. It influences tides. This guy, Matthew Perry, supposedly drowned. And there's a whole slew of phrases connecting water and money. That joke about where do fish keep their money? They keep it in the riverbank. People shell out a lot of money. Sally has the sail by the seashore. Think of a sailboat. And also when something is for sale or on sale. Pluto, again, influencing money. And, you think, if you look at the horoscopes, you see that the cusp of Aquarius is February 18th, 2/18. Again, that number 218. The Hebrew word for moon, if you do a Google Translate into the Hebrew characters, moon, has a Hebrew gematria value of 218. Pluto, plutonium, plutocracy. Get the plutocrat, Donald Trump. He said, "I am Batman" in the helicopter. And then he seemingly took a line from Bane. Speaking of the underworld and Batman, I saw this comic recently, Batman Spawn. And Spawn is this creature, this demonic creature. Batman is, of course, representing Hades, and they fought. And I'm not going to get into that too much, but one thing significant, I think it was the first page, it was really near the beginning. They point out that the night of June 26th, spoiler alert, if you care about comic books and whatnot, but spoiler alert, Batman's parents were killed on June 26th, according to this comic, this Batman Spawn comic. And June 26th is also the same night that Spawn, when he was a human, lost someone very special to him. And they based that the deaths of those loved ones is what basically made them who they are. So I know you have some people that like to play around with numbers and date spans and whatnot. I'd like to figure out what this is about. I think it's deeper than some silly comic line, comic story. June 26th, I could make some speculations, but I'd like to hear from some of you in the comments section. I can't do this all on my own. I'm no Superman. I'm no Superman.
I'm no Superman.
It's interesting to consider
Hold on.
About their daily lives.
Ray says it's not just violent extremists inspired by foreign terrorist organizations who are a threat to the Muslim and Jewish communities in the U.S., but also lone wolves who've targeted those groups since October 7th.
We've already seen that with the individual we arrested last week in Houston, who'd been studying how to build bombs and posted online about his support for killing Jews. And with the tragic killing of a 6-year-old Muslim boy in Illinois, what we're investigating is a federal hate crime.
The top Jewish and Muslim civil rights organizations in the U.S. both report huge spikes in incidents targeting their groups. The Anti-Defamation League says since October 7th, there's been a nearly 400% increase in anti-Semitic incidents in America.
This is like a virus. It's spreading across the country, around the world.
And the Council on American Islamic Relations says complaints of incidents targeting Muslims in the U.S. have been about 3 times higher since October 7th than they were during the same period last year.
There's no way to really give you a sense of the incoming flood of calls. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with people reaching out with various requests for help. Some of them really traumatized by what's happened to them.
Like a family in the Chicago area who put up a Free Palestine sign in their yard. They got a letter saying remove the sign or burn.
in upstate New York. A person is now in custody in connection with a series of threats against Jewish students at Cornell University.
When you look at the plots and the individuals that are arrested, they're almost pedestrian in nature. These are average citizens that are drawn into an online environment that encourages them to commit these acts.
FBI Director Christopher Wray says the Bureau is combating these incidents on multiple levels, deploying joint terrorism task forces, undertaking hate crime investigations, and gathering intelligence. Experts who monitor extremism tell us we're likely nowhere near an end to the domestic threats connected to the Israel-Hamas war. Wolf?
Yes, we're finally beginning to learn more about the victims of this deadly massacre. I'm sitting outside of the bowling alley where this mass shooting started. I'm going to get out of the way so you get a better look at the scene here, but we are being kept at quite a distance from where the detectives are investigating. We know here, at least at this location, the victims here include a bowling coach and 3 patrons. One of those patrons tried to stop the gunman with a knife. The suspect is still on the run this afternoon. His name, Robert Card, a 40-year-old man with a history of military service and a firearms man with a history of military service and a firearms instructor. He was treated at a mental health facility over the summer after allegedly saying he was hearing voices and threatened to shoot up a National Guard facility in Maine. Police have not released a motive yet, but they're urging everyone in this community to stay inside until he is captured. Police say just before 7 last night, he walked into the main bowling alley and opened fire and then drove about 4 miles to a restaurant 12 minutes later and killed multiple people there as well. A total of 18 people killed, another 13 injured. Only about half of those victims so far have been identified. And at a press conference just a few minutes ago, the governor said she's putting all the weight and all the resources of the state behind this investigation to catch the gunman and also to make sure that he is brought to justice. Joel and Lauren, back to you.
You know, you're right, sir. New Age balance, ancient duality equals Luciferian ideology. Come out of her, my people. I meant to show this earlier. Forgot I had this tab open here. But here it is. Shout out to E511. I'm going to share with you. Again, I don't agree with everything I've ever heard from E511. I'm not a dogmatic Christian by any means, or dogmatic anything. That being said, I do feel that my values and principles do align with a lot of what could be called conservative Christian values, if you will. Yeah, I think it's based on my upbringing, based on the culture, the education, but a lot of it based in, I guess, what would just be called good old-fashioned value systems. That being said, come out of Mystery Babylon. I'm going to share with you an insight into what we call the Matrix. A lot of people I connect with already feel they are actually living in a matrix.
What is this force and source that's driving all this? Look at the Matrix. The person that created the Matrix in the movie was known as the architect.
You have to make the decision that you want to see the Matrix. You have to make the decision that you want to go down the rabbit hole.
It's really disturbing when you look down the rabbit hole and how many things are true.
This is a worldwide organized program.
Your secret societies, politics, banking, Satanism, pedophilia, it all in the end ends up leading to one place.
The Rothschilds, they are really the leaders. They're the cult leaders.
The Jews who follow the agenda of racial supremacy and domination of the Goyim are proxies of the Archives.
And I'm here to separate the good Jews from the satanic Jews. Yes, yes, yes!
The Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan, and they are energized, in my judgment, by supernatural power.
The red are
the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
You look at who controls Facebook. Zionists. Who controls Google? Zionists. Who controls YouTube? Zionists.
Since they rule Hollywood and the media too.
Hollywood is run by Jews. It's owned by Jews.
So we have a mission right now to save our families from social media, from Zionist control, and bring Jesus Christ back to the forefront.
You are leaving the matrix and entering the new earth.
We have been lied to by the establishment for generations. Come out of the lies to spiritually come out of Mystery Babylon.
Why does Michaela Cole post the one eye on her Instagram? Does it relate to this hand sign that she posts as well? Why is this everywhere? And what's the big secret? Does Emma Watson, who I've shown before doing the one eye over and over again, know? Her doing this hand sign 3 different times makes me believe so. As I always ask, what's the big secret? Daniel Radcliffe doing the sign over and over again, as well as the one eye, makes me believe that this is all related to it. Is the big secret relating to Freemasonry because the robes that were used in the Harry Potter films resemble Demolay robes, which is a group a part of Freemasonry? Why is Julianne Moore, who I've shown before doing this hand sign, doing it again? Does it relate to the big secret? Is this why Sophie Cookson does the hand sign too? And remember Adam Driver, who promotes the one eye as well as this hand sign I've shown before? Well, here he is doing it again. I mean, seriously, what's the big secret? Why does Bill Pullman do this hand sign? Kind of like Jonah Hill, who does it in this interview with Howard Stern.
Why is Scorsese so good? Explain it to me who's a novice.
It's you like chess, right?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine if you can make the most complex chess move with no clock.
He's conveniently talking about director Martin Scorsese, who I've documented in a previous part for doing the same hand sign. This makes this clip of Jonah Hill a lot more significant. Why does Tyrese Gibson do the same hand sign? Not to mention this triangle one that I've been bringing up. In the same interview you just saw Jonah Hill doing this hand sign in, he also did this one right after. Why is this everywhere? And why is it always together? Hey everyone, I'm your host Jibo, and this is Freemasonry Unveiled. I'm going to be going over 2 more signs that are related to Freemasonry within this video. The first is the 6. From Aaron Paul to Adam Driver, from Adele to Alice Cooper, from Anthony Hopkins to Aretha Franklin, from Ariana Grande to Bebe Rexha, from Beyonce to Big Pun, from Bob Odenkirk to Brad Pitt, from Britney Spears to Bruce Lee, from Bruce Willis to Bryan Cranston, from Chris Hemsworth to Chris Pratt, from Conor McGregor to Corey Feldman, from Denzel Washington to Donald Trump, from Dwayne Johnson to Elijah Wood, from Elvis Presley to Emma Watson, from Florian Philippot to Harrison Ford.
It's one big club, and you ain't fucking in it, folks.
From Huey Lewis to Jackie Chan, from James McAvoy to Jason Statham, from Jean-Claude Van Damme to Jeff Goldblum.
Except Provo. Provo's obviously in the club. He admitted it himself. You heard it here first. If not, rewind the fucking stream. What more can I say?
From John Cena to John Travolta, from Johnny Depp to Justin Timberlake, from Kev Adams to Kevin Spacey, from Leonardo DiCaprio to Madonna, from Martin Scorsese to Matt Groening, from Michael Jackson to Mike Tyson, from Muhammad Ali to Oprah Winfrey, from Rose McGowan to Stephen King, from Sylvester Stallone to Tom Hanks. Finally, we have Usain Bolt. The second sign that is very prominent is the Masonic checkerboard. From Adam Driver to Alicia Keys, from Annabelle Wallace to Anne Hathaway, from Anthony Hopkins to Bebe Rexha, from Billie Eilish to Bob Odenkirk, from Chris Hemsworth to Emma Thompson, from James McAvoy to Janelle Monáe, from Jason Statham to Jean-Claude Van Damme, from Jeff Goldblum to Jennifer Lopez, from Shaquan Phoenix to Kate Beckinsale, from Keanu Reeves to Lady Gaga, from Leonardo DiCaprio to Miley Cyrus, from Eileen Farmer to Neil Patrick Harris, from Nicki Minaj to Rihanna, from Stephen King to Tom Cruise. Finally, we have WizKid and Youngblood. With all of this being shown and said, I'm your host, Yibo, and this has been Freemasonry Unveiled.
So I guess what he's trying to get at is that the entire industry on every level is bought and paid for, and that everyone working within it and under it is therefore bought and paid for as well. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it. That sounds like a little bit outlandish for me. A little bit too extreme. I don't know if I can buy that.
Just like everybody else, but please continue, sir.
Well, can you hear me, Ben?
Absolutely.
All right. When I interact with people who every day they wake up and it's suffering, right? And they look to more suffering.
Yes.
And I'm a unique individual where my life is, I hate to say this, but God gives, and God has given a lot to me. And my life just, I hate to say it, but I love to say it, but bountiful, right? Like my life,
I love that.
My life is bountiful. And I've never felt more blessed. And something I'd like to, I don't want to blow your horn, Benton, or blow smoke up your ass, but you are a unique individual where, regardless of how you feel, right? Like you're there, you're ready to talk. And I'll say this about myself: if I don't feel good about my life, or maybe even feel good about my blessings, I'm not ready to broadcast.
Yes.
But recently with your broadcast, I've noticed you're broadcasting, and you're willing to share your blessings with other people. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate all of those compliments, if I may interpret them as such. Now, part of what, thank you, sir. Thank you. Part of what I've been doing for the last several months is spending money that I mostly earned driving a big rig, long haul, but with some donations as well. I've been spending my hard-earned money plus some donations to do 7-day-a-week broadcasts from a motel room, involving costs around internet connections and such. I do have a decent amount of computer equipment here. So I'm the type of person, once I'm in that situation, how I feel before the broadcast is not going to be that much of a relevant factor. I'm going to be thinking about, wow, look at this investment I put into this. I would have to be a bozo and a moron to squander these opportunities. That's how I would look at that.
Certainly. I'd hope you are broadcasting right now. Are you not?
No, this was an impromptu thing.
Well,
and
turn it on. Let's go. Let's broadcast. You're ready to go. Let's go.
Well, I'm broadcasting with you, Provo Kid.
Well,
I can go live on my side, but then I'm going to have to go make cups of coffee, and I slept in, Provo. But we can do whatever you would like. I can certainly fire up my live stream.
I'd appreciate that. But here's one thing about you, Ben. I'd really like to acknowledge is the fact your gift of gab, right? Like your ability to talk, right?
Thank you.
And
I want to. Well, I want to point something out real quick before you go down that road. I have some natural ability. The rest of it I've developed through my own hard work. There's been a ton of hard work to go into be able to do this thing, including years of writing. And I mean years of writing every day. That actually played a big part in. And again, I'm trying to avoid blowing smoke up my own ass here. But just based on what Provo Kid is saying, if we're willing to accept all those things as true, it was a lot of work to get here. And I think sometimes folks, they say, oh well, Benton's got this and Benton's got that. Yeah, I have whatever God gave me plus whatever I've developed, just like everybody else. But please continue, sir.
Well, can you hear me, Ben?
Absolutely.
All right, checking. My big thing.
My bad, Goblin. I'm not sure if you could tell before that I was kind of doing a little bit of satire, kind of a little bit of a bit non-bit, I fully believe those things. So yeah, I know those things. I shouldn't say I believe those things. Everything he said was pretty much on the money. The pictures say it all. So yeah.
Right here, Ben, is you and
You are correct.
other people actually only have the gift. Right? It's a frustrating thing to me where a lot of people only talk about other people, right?
Yes.
And the real gift is being able to talk about yourself, and which is what nobody wants to talk about themselves, right? And I'd say this about you, Ben. You actually do talk about yourself. Is that correct?
That's almost that's if I just did what I wanted, that's all I would ever talk about. I actually limit it quite a bit, believe it or not. It's all I would talk about.
Agreed. And I actually love that, right? When I look at the landscape, so to speak, of the internet, and everybody only talks about everybody else, right? And but you are a unique individual who can talk about themselves, their life experiences, and what's going on with themselves. And I saw you interact with, I hate to say it, but a cop, and your interaction with that cop uh, really enlightened me to the reality of what it's like to be a real person, right? And that's what you provide to other people is your interactions on an individual basis actually mean a lot. And that's what Paul, I'll give a shout out to Paul Enslaved and what he does. But Ben does this without interactions with cops, right? You just talk about yourself. And I noticed you've been talking about Paul Enslaved or ideas, which is what I've noticed you've been focused on talking about is talking about ideas in regards to Paul Enslaved, respect to his name. But as a content creator, Ben, you really do have the ability to be fluid, right? Like you could talk about Paul Enslaved and his content creation and the ideas of that, but also your ideas of being an individual and talking about your experiences, which is more, I think the audience, if they're listening now, has a hard time understanding is Paul Enslaved, I hate to say this, experiences is limited to, I hate to say this, but a highlight clip, right? Like that's it. It's a highlight clip. Outside of that, he's irrelevant. Irrelevant. I'll say it again. Irrelevant. But Ben every day comes to the foreground of internet, and he's willing to bring his ideas, his thoughts, and his ideas to the panel. You know, I don't like to talk about other people, but I will because it's content. But other people can't seem to create content without other people. But you, Ben, I've listened to your live streams, and you're just talking, monologuing. I love that, and I find a deep appreciation for that. What are your thoughts?
Well, thanks again, and again, I am powered by compliments, as long as they're genuine. However, let's not blow my head up too much here. But I know I could do 2 hours a day monologue, 7 days a week, and just end the thing there. Like I could just go live, start talking, talk for 2 hours, and then shut it down. So part of the longer live streams and the interactions with other folks and the sort of producing on the fly. And by the way, let's compliment Provo's production. On the computer, his skills are far above mine. So not that I'm envious, but I certainly admire your abilities there. And I've been attempting to step my game up here and there. But all of that's well taken. But again, my interest in content creation, it sounds ridiculous, I understand. And I was socialized in a culture where this is a ridiculous notion, but that is my art, right? Life as art. And I am a creative type, like it or not. And the fact is, I do everything I do for me and me only. And if other folks find value in it, if other folks choose to collaborate or get in where they fit in, that's great. But I'm here for me and me only. And if that sounds selfish, too bad. And I found I do way better with my mood and my just old man cranky energy is much less as long as I'm creating at least several hours a day, something creatively, whether that's IRL, whether that's on a computer, whether it's walking around, looking at things and taking pictures, even with my mind, right? And in fact, I did many years of that, 10 miles a day on foot with a 35-pound pack, also known as homeless. Right. And that experience, I think, is just, and I'm not recommending it. I recommend nothing. I don't recommend anything specifically. But, that is an experience that what I found in that was many things came to me, many benefits accrued to me through being willing to do that. And I may very well go back to that soon. And don't cry for me, Argentina. That's my idea of a good time in many ways, is the walkabout. But I know I've opened many cans of worms there. So I'd like to hear one of my favorite content creators, Provo Kid's response.
I love that, and the fact that you even bring that up is profound, right? Like you're creating content, Ben, and you're here right now, and we're live, right? Like this is something unique, and as far as I'm aware, we're just talking about life, right? And your life and your walkabout, I think, is more interesting than most things people talk about. Because I hate to say this, but usually everybody when I check into a live stream or an open panel, I hate to say it, but it's an open grievance session, right? Like where people get to say what they're upset about. But when I listen to you, Ben, it's your thoughts, your ideas, and your wisdom. And there also has been a deviance, I might add, in highlighting we'll accept it. Paul enslaved, and his actions and what he does. And I appreciate what you do in highlighting those things because, Ben, what you're doing, if I might be honest, is the next step in morning radio or morning broadcasting that people might not be able to accept is you're creating something new, right? And I absolutely love what you do when you highlight and review other people's content and analyze it and give your thoughts about it. It really is refreshing, I might add. And here's something else. Ben, a lot of people don't realize that most content creators don't have anything to add, right? They're void of content. They're void of bringing anything new to the table. And that's unfortunate, right? And I feel bad about that. But you, as a content creator, are willing to not only analyze what people bring to the table, but expand upon that even farther. And so some people might look at your reactions or reflections on anything you create in some sense as just reactionary content. But the reality is you're bringing something more to the table, right? And what I mean by that is quite simply this, Benton. People don't know how to talk by themselves. It's very simple, right? You look at any live stream, you look at any panel, and it's them. I hate to say this, but talking to other people, talking about things, right? But you, Benton, you're bringing something more, right? And I like to believe I'm bringing that as well. That's why we have this connection here. And I feel unfortunate. Like you look at Paul Enslaved, you look at Jack Talcott. What these individuals really rely on is other people, right? But Ben, you, me, we don't need that, right? We just need the atmosphere, energy, and we'll just talk, right? But my thought is quite simply is I feel not sorry, but like what are these other people doing? What are your thoughts?
Some people are mirroring your content, your shitty, terrible content at that, sir. Some would say, I wouldn't say that. I think it's great. Many would say it's probably not that great, but screw them, man. Honestly, I mean, gives a shit what they have to say.
Yeah, what are they doing, right? But what am I doing also? I'm the type I'm always going to, if I'm going to critique, and I am a critic by nature. So if I'm going to provide a critique of what another content creator is doing, I will certainly critique myself, in that same regard. And I think we see that in the Paul Enslaved dynamics. And I'm a big fan of his broadcast, by the way, regardless of how I'm viewed by him or his audience at any given time. Oh man, I think I kind of lost my thought there, but it'll come back to me shortly.
I'll take it.
Thank you, sir.
So what my thought quite simply is that Paul Enslaved or Jack Talcott, they rely on other people's.
Oh, and I've got it, but I remember when.
Go ahead.
Well, so what we saw is that as soon as I started going in on some of Paul's half-baked ideas, which some of the things that come out of his mouth are just absolutely not properly formed, in my view, right, as someone who's skewed towards logic and reason. But so what we see is that now the community has perceived, there's some sort of disagreement, so I need to go up on a panel and seek resolution with these other beings, right? Except that does absolutely nothing for me, number one. Number two, from my perspective, that doesn't benefit me in any way. Number two, we have people LARPing as if they care about resolution when we know that what they want to see is a dramatic interaction and argument where the only way I can possibly get my points across is to become very forceful and yell and raise my voice and hoop and holler and carry on, which I may be willing to do it sometimes. In fact, I've done that actually with Provo Kid here that folks may not be aware, but when I'm doing well, within my own self, I have no desire to go into that space because I already know what that's going to do to my physiology. Now I'm going to have several hours of sort of pulling myself out of whatever that mode is. Now I'm having to use meditation and various calming techniques because I just got agitated and yelled at somebody for, between half an hour to an hour, on a panel. Right. But we see the audience, and now this is the point I'd like to hear you respond to. but amongst any, of course, of your choosing. But these people pretending like they want to see an issue resolved when we know that 9 out of 10 of them, when I know that 9 out of 10 of them want to see the dramatic play of the whole thing. Your thoughts, sir?
Absolutely, Ben. And a lot of people want to just, here's the reality, Ben, from my perspective, is that people have discomfort, right? And they feel this.
All right, so Provo's half asleep. It's 4:30 here, so I should be as well. I have to be up very early. So I'll just do a late night check to make sure. Late night ego stroke to see all the fake bitches that want to add me. It's very fascinating. Evelyn Hunt, Tony Chapa. Oh, Mary Jeanette Mercy. She looks nice. Aiden Hensley. I mean, I'm just going to these because these just look funny. These look funny to me. Let's see. 68 friends. 2 mutual. Right. 68 friends. She wants to be friends with me. Cool. I'm sure she's real. Oh, I'm sure, even more sure that this girl's real. Let's see. Oh, yep, for sure. Definitely real. Yep. The see-through top shirt. Yeah, I'm sure. She's real. Now I'm going to get my stream taken down. Probably not, actually. YouTube allows that. YouTube doesn't mind that, actually, so much. Yeah, you gotta love the sock accounts. Oh, and look at that one, Paul Unslaved. How can we not be friends with Paul Unslaved? All right, I think it's time I get out of here. It's time I get out of here. Gotta agree. Got to agree. Yeah, it's nonsense, my friend. It's all nonsense. But send on a high note here. The clown world order is real. It's all around. Get a good look at it. Clowns everywhere. But yeah, the little sis is down. Big sis is flying in the AM. Family reunion Sunday. 31st birthday on Monday. So I'm just grateful to be alive. Be able to co-create with some of y'all. Share the inner machinations of my mind. I'm out of here. Peace and love. You know I gotta end at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the goal. Peace, y'all. Much love.